เอาละค่ะต่อไปนะคะในเซสชันถัดไปนะคะจะเป็นเซสชันเกี่ยวกับเรื่องเสวนาในหัวข้อสุดท้ายนะคะเกี่ยวกับเรื่องของการส่งเสริมแนวทางนะคะ Nature Positive สำหรับภาคเอกชนและภาคการเงินในประเทศไทยนะคะผู้นำวงเสวนาในรอบนี้นะคะก็คือคุณสิริพรศรีอารามนะคะบิมขอเชิญอีกครั้งหนึ่งบนเวทีนะคะโดยมีผู้ร่วมเสวนาดังต่อไปนี้นะคะคุณประวิทย์ประกิตศรีนะคะรองประธานกรรมการสภาหอการค้าแห่งประเทศไทยนะคะและคุณภูนสิทธิ์ว่องทวัชชัยนะคะผู้ช่วยกรรมการผู้จัดการใหญ่และผู้บริหารสายงานการพัฒนาด้านสิ่งแวดล้อมสังคมธรรมาภิบาลสู่ความยั่งยืนธนาคารกรุงศรีอยุธยานะคะซึ่งเป็นตัวแทนจากสถาบันการเงินของประเทศไทยเรานะคะนอกจากนี้แล้วนะคะดิฉันขอเรียนเชิญคุณธัญพรนะคะกิตติไทยวุฒินะคะผู้อำนวยการสมาคมเครือข่าย Global Compact แห่งประเทศไทยและดร.ประสานคุมานะคะเลขาธิการสมาคมสินเชื่อการเกษตรและชนบทแห่งภาคพื้นเอเชียและแปซิฟิกนะคะและยังไม่พอค่ะยังมีอีกแขกที่สำคัญอีกหนึ่งท่านนะคะก็คือคุณคริสฮัมฟรีย์นะคะกรรมการบริหารสภาธุรกิจสหภาพยุโรปแห่งอาเซียนค่ะเรียนเชิญค่ะขอเสียงปรบมือให้กับแขกผู้มีเกียรติของเราทั้ง5ท่านด้วยค่ะ
โอ้โหนี่คือผู้เข้าร่วมใจป้ามากเลยนะคะเขาบอกว่าเขายอมตัดคอนเทนต์นะคะเพื่อที่เดี๋ยวไปคุยกันช่วงค็อกเทลเซสชั่นนะคะขอเครื่องหูฟังให้กับคุณประสนนะคะ
But we will speak English.
Yeah,
we can do yeah okay so here is a session 7 already almost finished for the day so thank you very much everybody all the panelists to be available to speak with us today so as you know that we have been talking almost all day about nature positive pathway right and how private sector can play a role in this so I would like to start with one of the most influential network in Thailand, the Thai Chamber of Commerce. That yeah, คุณประวิตรเชิญค่ะ
Thank you very much for inviting me to join this very short time presentation. I think that finally Senator will conclude a very beautiful word for us, all of us. I think like this I will try to make it very short, and I think that maybe I don't know. Thai Chamber of Commerce is one of the representative of the Thai private sector. Actually, we are working very close with the other joint standing committee in commerce, in industry, Federation of Thai Industry, and finance, banking. We are working very close together. I think that recently we just set up very clear topic about climate change. I think that the joint standing committee is already there. They are very, but for the biodiversity, I think that this is something. I mean, from the beginning until now, I try to find what is the good example for the Thai SME small enterprise to understand the biodiversity. I know that it actually is very important, but if we want to take a look about who is one of the successful industry in Thailand, I would like to say some example in the biodiversity as a scientist. I think CP Group is one of the most successful in the world. I think that this company breeding the chicken from very, very long time and they're making the chicken very cheap. So that's why this is a successful story that the company like CP doing this, and right now they are continue and the scope working is more broadened, and I think that more realistic. And again, today, what I would like to see that no matter what we have, finance or not finance, all Thai membership is try to find out the way of solution. No matter what we have subsidy, the wording that we who gonna pay it, but I think that sometime in the beginning we need some kind of subsidy by somebody, and then if it work, finally the commercialization will happen. For example, like okay, we are trying to connecting all the dot here as a chamber of commerce, so we try to do all kind of the connection in order to help the member as much as possible. I try to say something that no matter what we don't have any kind of subsidy, but we were the first group to thinking about how we can queuing for the vaccine during COVID. COVID is one of the good example of the disaster from the biodiversity. And I think that soon we will have this kind of thing if we don't stop this kind of the climate change or the biodiversity. So then we create our carbon neutral tourism from the carbon balance. I think that the sum already there. No matter what they get any kind of incentive, but they are just forming the group of the consortium like Thai tourist organization, and the most important thing is a eco adventure association. They try to create this kind of thing to the low carbon new tourism. And the project of Hug Earth, this is a very small project, but already we happen. And I think that biogas gastronomy, Hug Isan, Love Isan, we try to promote the local food, culture, and tourism at the same time. This is the kind of the development that Thai Chamber of Commerce trying to do this. And apart from this, that we don't prepare the slide. I think that the most important thing right now is very good at this moment, but we face a lot of problem in the PM 2.5. It's very common. I think that the Senator Virasak will explain this so well. But it's coming from the they were coming from the construction, coming from the transportation, and coming from the residual waste burning. And I think right now we are trying to work with BMA, and we are trying at least try to stop this. I think that right now we have a very good monitoring, like taxonomy. I think that we have to monitor where it's come from. And right now we try to focus how to reduce it. Last Friday, Prime Minister Setha said it's very easy because once after farmers harvest everything residue in the field, it's very easy for them to take care by only one match. Very easy for them to take care. But at the same time, they create a lot of problem of the PM 2.5. So that's why we are now working very hard with the big industry in order to make economic way to solve this kind of PM 2.5. But I don't have example here because I think that I have to end my presentation. We are working very hard. We need a real example. We need a champion to follow. Okay, that's all for me.
Thank you very much, Khun Pravit. So next, we will hear from perspective from the private sector and also on behalf of the SME. Next one, I would like to hear from the financial sector representative, Mr. Punsit Wongthawachai. He's representing Thai Banking Academy. In your point of view, what is the challenge and opportunity here?
Okay. Thank you very much, Kap. Before I go into the challenge, here in Thailand, may I just quickly introduce my organization like every other speaker, okay? We are called the Bank of Pattaya, locally we are called Gungsi. Right now, we are the 5th largest bank in Thailand, and we has been identified by our regulator, the central bank, as the DSIP, which stands for Domestic Systemically Important Bank. We have an asset of around 77 billion US dollar, and we actually has the highest credit rating here in Thailand, and we are the leader in ESG or sustainable finance, which cover green sustainability and also sustainability linked products and services. Okay. And coming back to the moderated question in terms of what are the key challenge here in Thailand, I think I also share similar comment from my colleague from the Thai Chamber of Commerce. Biodiversity is a very new word for the Thai business. Okay, just to remind you, even the word climate change was new to us. It actually got in the limelight or the headline at COP26 at Glasgow, where Thailand committed to reduce carbon emission by 30%. So basically similar, to climate change concept, biodiversity losses or biodiversity risk and impact are at a very early stage here in Thailand. So for us, it's only the first level of education just to understand what it means, But luckily, thanks to climate risk and climate impact, and as you all know that climate change is one part of the key driver under biodiversity loss or risk related. Therefore Thailand are somewhat introduced to this biodiversity loss and impact to the climate change impact. And a lot of projects that are actually we call the climate change project are actually also has the secondary benefit or actually the double benefit in terms of the nature positive or nature related impact. So I think that's where I would like to bring the attention of the audience to. And as mentioned, one of the key challenges is that we are still at the early stage, and there's no regulation here in Thailand. Even on climate change, carbon pricing is still yet to be established here in Thailand. We don't have a carbon regulation yet, but hopefully, with this, part of development from the climate change, issue and climate change mitigation and adaptation, I think, biodiversity on nature, impact assessment and, and I guess, nature positive, what you call, could follow similar path as, the climate change, issue or how we address climate change issue in Thailand. I wanted to bring back, in terms of the climate change development, how it get into the attention of business, both, private sector and also the public sector. I think one of the key driver for us here in Thailand in terms of trying to mobilize, financing activities into climate-related projects or climate, mitigation and adaptation infrastructure is actually, thanks to our financial regulator foresight. The Security Exchange Commission actually issue a guidance or a framework on green bond, sustainability linked bond. And with that, also our regulator actually also issue for the first time last year, the local taxonomy in terms of, what are the climate, related, activities that could be, identified into three, traffic light color, red, green, and amber. That actually also help to actually set a very clear, expectation, both, the operator themselves as well as the investor and financial like us, banks, to be able to clearly identify and perhaps, mobilize capital into the desirable, project and business or economic activity. And the key message on this slide is that, if you look at this slide in terms of, sustainable finance, infrastructure and development, as I mentioned, our regulator only issue the guidance or the guideline on, green and sustainability bond for the first time in 2018. And back then, the whole market, the whole sustainable ESG, market, ESG bond market was only about 5 billion baht. That was very, very tiny. Okay. And over the year, in the past 5 years, this ESG, bond market actually grow on an annual average of 165%, which, outperform the, typical or the traditional bond market, which only grow about 5%. And if you look into the detail, you see that, green was the biggest, actually not as big as, social, but it's account for about, roughly about 15-20% of the total, sustainable finance, in terms of bond outstanding here in Thailand. And if you look also at the sustainability linked bond or sustainability bond, those two financing instruments also have, climate change or nature related impact embedded as part of the KPI or as part of, the use of proceed. So I guess, these are the key message that I would like to address, or to share with the audience is that, the key challenge here in Thailand is that without, carbon pricing or without, the local regulation on carbon pricing, which is also, I guess, somewhat similar to, the biodiversity loss or mitigation, because we don't have yet, put a key metrics to measure or the key, pricing mechanism on the loss, relating to nature. So therefore, hopefully, certain, innovative financing instrument could actually help, country like Thailand to actually get started on this issue, and hopefully, and it will, we have one is started. I guess it's actually gain a lot of momentum to the interest, not only from investor but also from the operator themselves. Okay, so I'll stop here, for the first question. Thank you.
ขอบพระคุณค่ะ Thank you very much ค่ะ So I think we hear a lot about challenge and opportunity, and maybe I would like to hear more a little bit about the solution part, and also learn more a little bit on what the UNGCNT is doing, and if you can please share with us ค่ะ Dr. ธัญพร
Thank you ค่ะ Let's talk about the UN Global Compact as well, and let me have some interactive session with the audience. Can I see your hands if you come from the companies, business associations? Anyone? Just only us on the stage? We have some more, and also we have a membership of the Global Compact. Thank you. So part of the solutions, we had some of the company who are, even they are the large and the very big size around the world. I bring a couple of the examples. The first one is Tetra Pak. He did the projects on the biodiversity around the world. They established the idea since 20 years ago, and they had joined company with the Global Compact in 2004. There has a linkage of the work between of the upcycle, recycle of the Tetra Pak, the milk, and the container. Plus some of the project like partnership with many other company, Manulife, and also longevity, health improvement. So there are a lot of linkage between nature positive pathway, and they have evaluated and reporting out how positive outcome of the Tetra Pak around the world doing. Let's talk about other example of the Thai local companies who are running the business for the hospitality business. Besides we talk about agriculture, let's talk about the business who are supporting the travel and tourism. Have you know Sing Estate? We had them pledge in the morning about the commitment for the nature positive. Sing Estate has established a project in the Maldives on their resort. As you may know, at the end of the construction, 2 years ago. They had a challenge from the government of the Maldives, surprised and asked Sing Estate, why you have so many animals, turtles, sharks, and many other sea animals around the Sing Estate resort, even more popular than normal. It's a very surprise shock from the government and asked back to the company. However, company said that the way they do resort construction, they really evaluate and count number of animals around. So at the end of the project, they commit to not giving less animal than before. So that's why it either benefit for the tourists and also their own business because they can see a lot of sharks coming back, not because of the COVID that they are shutting down, but even their construction even draw a lot of attention, I don't know how, from the animals around the area. And there are a lot of good examples for a smaller size of business. Let I bring some other example now. Can I have a clicker? So as a good way of doing Global Compact, we try to bring the good example around the world and also link back to the local community, basically with a small business like SME Kun Pravit mentioned. So, and we also have joined other UN Global Compact network around the Asia and around the world. Basically, we think about the solution for next year, even start by this year on the hospitality business. So we had an initiative called Better Hospitality Initiative that linked directly to the smaller size of the business like restaurant, hotels, buses, even boats, speedboats. How can they support the tourism business in a lower carbon, not or lower price, but lower carbon. And we have a Nepal team. Can you raise a hand? They also join us on the Better Hospitality Initiative as well. So let's see what we should offer. Like Kun Vivi has asked, what should be the next solution for the business? So we think about the idea of carry out the leading of the ideas. The establishment of this program come from Switzerland. You may know that Switzerland also the area that the most expensive and the most popular visitors to even Davos and also other things. So they had helped us to create the solution and the tools together with a lot of good partners like the World Bank. Let I show you another clicker. Yeah, with the market movers, we have the health check as a solution for evaluating the low carbon business. We have My Climate, we have Edge, we have the logo here on the World Bank IFC, International Finance Corporation, to provide the funding for the company and the business that you would like to transform your own company. For example, if there are small villa with their small bungalow in Thailand, they would like to change the resource to be a lower carbon or even the carbon neutral resort. They may need some budget and money to transform the solar power, solar cell, and even try to change the whole system on the electricity. So the funding from the World Bank will support if they join this evaluation and submit the project proposal. So the project is bankable, like ADB Bank has mentioned. Most of the project is already have an idea, but sometimes we don't know how to match the project with the money. So at the Solution UN Global Compact, we think about bring this partner together with Sustainable Hospitality Alliance. And at the end, if this kind of the project can be linked together, we're gonna talk with the market mover. You know, around the world, when people would like to travel, they check on the digital web like Agoda, Booking.com, and Traveloka. So we are partnering with this mover to show and share these hotels, to show and share this business that they are very good on sustainable business. So at the end, we believe that if we like to promote this around the world, it would help a lot of SMEs to move forward on the lower carbon. So back to the Thai Chamber of Commerce, thinking about 10 provinces, you're thinking about Mueang Rong. How can we support the smaller size of the business in a smaller city? So we also think about the hospitality business also a lot, right? Ranong, Ratchaburi, Mae Hong Son, even Kalasin, and Nakhon Phanom. So we think about sustainable tourism also can link with this project. So let's talk about the tools. Global Compact, we can bring a lot of good knowledge and practice. So we have some certified tools like EDGE. The H is for the construction material certified building to be the green building. Not only for only one single building, we can think about evaluating the infrastructure for the whole city, like smart city or infrastructure for the real estate. So link back with one of the companies who are running the business, like we have SCG and Siam Cement Group here. So what SCG had already idea on the low carbon cement, like hydraulic carbon. The H is a positive impact evaluation tools from the World Bank. We can use this tool to evaluate the material that had been used for construction. And at the end, if this certified like the platinum level, lead level, like gold level, we can also get the budget to support and subsidize and advancing this kind of the business and accelerate this kind of the declaration to the next level. At the program, let's see how can we offer. So UN Global Compact, we plan to offer the training. There are a bit combination of three things. The first one is on the online meeting. We can meet with the most expert in this area. Second is online on-demand training. We're going to start the program from April, just after the Songkran holiday, until the mid of June 2024, on what should be the tools that you can use. For example, to the tools that you can use for the Sustainable Hospitality Alliance. The company, no matter it's a restaurant or the hotel, you can join us with the membership of this and also work with the World Travel and Tourism Council for the hotel basis and later on the application like Age. So we hope that if you like to join, it's gonna be a very easy, just scan the QR code and we have a spot available. Basically, we got a slot for 20 countries and Nepal and Thai, we are the first two countries that joined these initiatives. And we like to call action together for all of you, no matter you are in the membership of the UN Global Compact or not. Let's see how much we can offer. Once we have a tools, we have a plan, let's do it together.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thanyapon. I think it's very good to come up with a solution and tools that's already available in place. So next, I would like to move on to know more about our regional partner, Dr. Prasun. Could you share a little bit about your organization and the challenge and opportunity for the region? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting Asia Pacific Rural Agricultural Credit Association. In short, it is APRACA. We are here in Thailand for last 47 years. And we work in, those who don't know us, we are working in 24 countries of this region and 93 member institutions. We have 18 central bank as our member. And also we have development financial institutions, commercial banks, and also the microfinance associations, and also some of the big microfinance, they are our members. So since morning I'm listening about this biodiversity financing. I think I had a discussion with AFD last year about this program, and we are of the view that, as I think our friend said, that it was kind of a new area to the bankers. Those who are working here, we meet each other, we know about this, but it's a new area to the banking sector. Now, to be the central bank, they have their own policies and ways of working with their member banks or the banks in the country. So they have to follow the national goals and objectives. I am not sure about that all the countries to have the common goal about the biodiversity and financing the biodiversity. However, what we found through our 3 pillars of our work, one major pillar of our work is on the working with the policy, which is the central bank, regulation in the country. And then we also have a pillar where we work on the building the capacity of our member institutions. And the third pillar, which is very important, is the local institution building. And to me, with my 30 years of experience working with the banking sector, what I found that the local institutions, those who are working at a village level, maybe a semi-urban level, they basically are the ambassadors. And we have, till now, we had not talking about them, how to build their capacity to understand biodiversity. What is the function? What do we mean by protection? What do we mean by conservation? What do we mean by restoration? And how this whole ecosystem will support them. So we have many experiences across this region. What we have seen in many countries, for example, in India, what we have found that the self-help group, which is a very much a village level institution, they become the ambassador. They try to let the people know in the village about what is a conservation, what should be the protection, what should be the sustainability, how to make the crop cultivation more sustainable, how to make the soil more sustainable. So they are the people who become the ambassador. And now we are talking about bigger projects, bigger thing about them, but we forget that 65 to 70% of our population lives in the villages, and we need to develop the local institutions. So for that, what we in last 1 year, we tried to understand basically the components of a biodiversity financing, and we call it as a value chain of the biodiversity financing. Now, in that, what we saw that we need to have a mission and vision which are aligned globally with the regional perspective, and also keeping in view the village as the unit of any biodiversity program. We talk about de-risking, we talk about big credit program, big insurance program, but we need to keep them at the center of our all discussion, which is basically we find it is a missing link. And for that purpose, what we have tried to develop are voluntary guidelines. Because most of our member institutions are working in the rural areas, they work closely with the rural people, they finance the rural people, they know them better than us. So we prepared a voluntary guidelines for our member institutions so that it will be in the local language, it will be very easy to understand for them, with some graphics, how to restore the biodiversity, how to protect the biodiversity, how to finance the biodiversity. So in that format we have already done in 16 countries. We have already prepared the local language book on that, and it started working. We have many examples where they started working on how the ponds, local ponds, are being kept with a diversified fish cultivation, for example, like upper level, middle level, lower level. So I think for them, to that unit, this is a biodiversity for them, and if we can start encouraging that, and it is accumulative effect will be better than having bigger project in a urban area or in a semi-urban area. So to me it seems that we are a little bit not giving much importance to the real units of our biodiversity conservation and biodiversity financing mechanism, or whatever you say, the center of the gravity. So that's with that I just want to share that if you go to our website, you can see some of them. I mean the 16 the books we have prepared with the graphics and also with some kind of the instruments. I mean local instruments, the lending instruments available in that particular country and whom to contact and all these things we have done there, and it is available freely and downloadable for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So among of the 16 countries, is also Thailand included to have that. Oh, very, very, very great. Next, I would like to introduce Kun Chris Humphrey from the EU ASEAN, also to share from your perspective.
Thank you. Yeah, I have no slides. I'm like president. No slides for you today. Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre and the team from AFD for inviting me down. I'm the voice of European industry in Southeast Asia. And forgive me if I'm slightly controversial in some of the things I'm about to say. I think the first thing is, having sat here today and listened, this is a very complex topic, and it requires very complex solutions to deal with it. The second thing is, we as human beings, the moment we do something, we impact the environment, whether positively or negatively. Doesn't matter what we do, we impact the environment. The third thing for me is, and this is maybe the slightly controversial one, is I don't think all the UN SDGs are compatible with each other. Because if you want to tackle zero hunger, that means you've got to grow more crops in more intense farming, and that will have an impact on life on land. Or you've got to do more fishing, and that impacts life in the ocean as well. So there are problems there we need to tackle. So this is a very difficult topic. What we can all agree on is we need to do more to protect the natural environment and tackle the erosion of our biodiversity on the planet, because otherwise there's no point in doing anything. We will lose our planet at some point. I think the other thing I would say is tackling biodiversity, tackling climate action, doing things to support the environment. They're all absolutely interlinked with each other, and you can't really subdivide them into different pots at the same time. All that said, some examples. CP Group providing cheap chickens, fantastic. People can eat cheap chickens. But what is their chicken farm doing for biodiversity where the chicken farm is? It's probably destroyed parts of the natural environment at the same time. Anuj, who's unfortunately just left, talked about building defences along rivers to prevent parts from Bangkok from flooding. Well, that's impacting the natural floodplain, and therefore it's having an adverse impact on the natural environment. But it's protecting humans, and it's protecting wealth. Governments in the region, governments everywhere, are looking for economic development. They need to find more jobs for people. They need to provide more healthcare. They need to provide more education. They need to provide better infrastructure. And we've seen today the amounts of money that are needed for various different things tackling biodiversity. That's without tackling climate change and the need for better infrastructure. And as we have aging societies looking after aging people at the same time. So we need to have economic development. We have a phrase in English, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. So economic development means we're going to have to do things which unfortunately will have an impact on the environment. What we need to do is work out how to mitigate and minimize that impact somehow. And that requires a change in approach from business and a change in approach from government and a change in approach from the public and therefore everybody in this room now. We had a discussion earlier, some examples, some very good examples about circular economy here in Thailand. At the council, we've been pushing very, very hard for ASEAN to do more on circular economy. And in that context, we've been pushing under the upgrade of the ASEAN Trades in Goods Agreement for preferential treatment for reused, remanufactured and recycled goods. I had a call last week with the lead negotiators, and they're all trade people, and they're protecting their industries, and they're struggling to even understand the concept of circular economy. And yet their ministries of environment are pushing hard on it. And we need to try and reconcile these differences of opinions within government. There needs to be a more unified approach. The question here is, how do we chart a nature-positive path for the private and financial sectors? Well, it's a whole-of-society effort. The regulators need to lead the way, as they have done in parts of the world in other areas. They need to be telling businesses, we want you to do this. You need to report on these standards. You need to have a taxonomy in place. There are things you have to do and things you cannot do as businesses. It also involves the investors in businesses saying to them, you can't do certain things. If you do, we won't be investing in your business. And we've seen that in the past with the banks saying to companies, we won't be investing in coal, we won't be investing in tobacco, we won't be investing in arms. It needs shareholders to be saying to their company boards, you need to do things differently, or we're selling our shares, or we're called the board to account and we're sacking the CEO. And it needs the consumers of companies to say, if you don't change your ways, we're not buying your products. And we've seen that in the past, in various campaigns, particularly in Europe, on certain areas. And it requires, of course, the companies themselves to look at it. Companies, though, are driven by profit because their shareholders are driven by profit and their investors are driven by profit. So we need to make sure that for the companies, they can see a positive upside to this. And that may well be, actually, if I don't do this, I lose my customer base and I lose my investors. That may be enough of an incentive for them to go forward and do things differently. We need to change the way we've done things. Someone on the last panel said, we need to move away from economic development where we're taking things out of nature. We can't keep doing that. And that does mean we need to do a lot more on recycling, on reuse, on remanufacturing of goods. The biggest problem with the circular economy, as I see it, is, first of all, lack of regulation in the region. But the major problem is changing the public mindset to make sure we start to recycle. We see the need to recycle and the value of recycling. If I look around Southeast Asia, even a country that's as advanced as Singapore is, does an appalling job when it comes to this. And is at least 20 years behind where we are in Europe. And in Europe, we're not where we should be as well. So the whole thing needs a complete change of mindset throughout the entire economic ecosystem. Regulators, investors, shareholders, consumers, and in the company boardrooms.
Thank you very much, Ka.
Good example. We need some good example how to do. If possible to change one thing impact to the other thing. We need a good example. Those companies already show their a voluntary mind to do something. If we don't have a good example, people would like to follow the way EU or the developing country, but we need a good example, and we need a good standard of living. I think that back to the policy, I think that when you do something, maybe of course technically impact to everything, but I think that right now this talking, we need a good example. Something you already said, very complicated and very complex. But we need a good example. I try to say that the CP is one of the good examples that they try to do, and they continue to do, and they always do. That is a good example from the good people to do some business. That's all.
Sorry, I agree we need good examples. And we saw some good examples today, particularly on recycling from companies in Thailand. And the CP Group providing cheap chickens is actually not a bad thing. I will often say to people back in Brussels, sustainability means something different in Southeast Asia to what it means to Europe. In Southeast Asia, it's about putting food on the table and access to education and access to healthcare and access to clean water. Whereas in Europe, it's about green, green, and green. Now, in Southeast Asia, it doesn't mean we don't care about the green and the environment, because we do. But it's not the thing that comes first to mind when we talk about sustainability.
Thank you. I think everybody quite similar thing about biodiversity is a new topic, and just to get the private sector and financial institution to understand what is climate change and how it impacts us, it's already take a few years, right, to be here. So biodiversity is the fourth wave that is what? And the thing is everybody, we live on biodiversity, we are biodiversity, right? So it's not easy, but it's not impossible to achieve this 2030 mission. So maybe in order to create the transformative change. I just specifically on for the financial sector and business again. You have any final word to say like after this session, what can we do? What is an issue that we would like to take on to promote among our sector? ค่ะคุณประวิตรค่ะ
Okay. Just two sentences about the redesign of the business model. Up to the level of the recircular, it's not only the way that we are doing in Thailand. We need to rethink of the way of business doing. Not only selling products, but sometimes we can change the business model to be the circular economy, like services, and providing knowledge in others. So with the net zero, we thought that Thailand may not achieve. However, some of the company business have the ambition, and we would like to support. Even there are not much of the companies in Thailand. There are 92 companies already pledged for the carbon neutrality and net zero. So let me support some of those. And later on, the supply chain, smaller business, they are coming because they also need to run the business link with that large firm. Anyway, let's do it together.
Okay. So I think that practice example should be the key for everything.
Wow. Okay. I think I want to also echo, my colleagues, on the panel in terms of, have a good example. The good case in point is that in Thailand, we have many companies, as, Kun Thanyapon mentioned, that almost 100 that actually push to net zero. And we have more company listed on DJSI, Dow Jones Sustainability Index, than any other country in ASEAN. So I think, have a good example that will bring, the other, whether it's supply chain, customer, community, in terms of the standard enhancement. So I think that could be, one of the way of which that, biodiversity issue can further progress and develop. Thank you.
To me, grassroots leadership is very important. Grassroots leadership for a sustainable, inclusive, and resilient ecosystem. Understanding by them, done by them, not by us. They should do it, and it should come from the below to up. And then we take the policy at our level, and again it go back. I think that kind of circular movement will be a better solution. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to partly agree. I think it's key we provide better education to the public. That's the grassroots bit, so the public understand exactly what's going on, the natural environment around them, and what we can all do as individuals to make it better. I think governments have a role to play, and that my members won't thank me for this. But governments, I think, should be mandating better reporting on environment, social and governance standards. But please, governments, make sure that those reporting standards are unified across the world so that it's not too bureaucratic for everybody. And I think then the other one would be, I would say, actually, we all need to push more on energy transition because unless we sort out the energy problems, we're not going to solve anything else.
Thank you very much everyone all the panelists ขอเสียงตบมือให้ทุกคนหน่อยค่ะ
ขอบคุณมากค่ะ